Thank you very much for joining us. Now it is 2 p.m. in Central Europe, and we are starting our trip. We are starting our trip to charming Malta, and today we are guided by one of the smartest credit management on this planet, former president of Federation of European Credit Management Associations. I really happy to know this man in person. So welcome, and join me in welcoming Mr. Josef Busuttil. Josef, you are welcome to Credit In.
First of all, thank you for the invitation, Andri. I really appreciate. It's my pleasure being with you, as you know, and thank you for the audience that are joining us during this session.
Thank you, Josef. And ladies and gentlemen, as I said, please don't hesitate to share this with your friends and colleagues. Please put your like if you like it, put your dislike, and put comments, whatever you want to see. And furthermore, I'm following the air I follow your comments live on LinkedIn. So if you have comments, if you have questions to Josef, in the end of today's air, we will have Q&A session. You can ask questions about Malta, you can ask questions about credit management, and obviously, due to the topic and due to our international round-the-world trip and credit management, this would be great if you ask questions about credit management in Malta. So we are taking off. Josef, let me start with my first question. You see, when we are traveling around the world, we are traveling to other countries. I found in credit management, I mean, I don't say that the credit management is something unique in this respect, because like in any other part of business, we need to know cultural differences. And Malta is an island. It's kind of closed society, and we know. I believe there are, some part of of those who are following us today. I've read that the population is not very big. So, if we take the percent of Maltese people on the globe, the percent will be quite tiny. So, you're supposed to have been an island, been small society. I presume, although credit management. First rule of credit, never assume. So I presume, I'll make a presumption that there are kind of specific, unique culture. And I mean, I do know that, I understand at the same time that it is impossible in one discussion to learn everything about Maltese culture. But if you can share with us something do and don'ts when we are negotiating with Maltese people.
Yeah,
like maybe you will discover you can use me as example, like which mistakes I already did speaking with you.
Now, first of all, Andri, let's put everything into the perspective.
Yes.
As you said, Malta is a very small island economy. We're talking of a country which is an island, which is an archipelago of islands, consisting of Malta, Gozo, and Comino. Malta is the main island. Gozo is smaller and more peaceful. And Comino is the best island, which is the tiniest, but it is beautiful. I love it. And only one person lives there. But unfortunately, during summer, there will be thousands of people there enjoying the sea, the beautiful beaches, the Blue Lagoon, and the sea and the sun. Just to...
Sorry, Josef, I'm sorry. You said only one person...
Only one person lives on Comino, yes. There was... Well, I remember a whole family. I remember a whole family. He's called Salvo. I remember a whole family living there, but They passed away, unfortunately, and the only remaining person is called Salvo. He resides on Comino. He's the only person residing there throughout the year. But as I told you, during summer, he has a huge number of visitors because Comino is one of my favorite.
There's only one household on the island.
Yes, correct.
I never knew. I never knew that. So tourists are coming to lay on the beach, everything, but the only resident is.
But he is always there.
Household, only one house.
All year round, he is always there. He lives on the most beautiful island I have ever been. To. Just to give you an example, not an example, just to give you an idea of how big Malta is for those who have never been to Malta. It is 27 kilometers long and 14.5 kilometers wide. So we are talking about 246 kilometers square. It is just a little city. It's the size of a little city in Germany, for example. However, although it is the smallest country in the European Union, it is the fifth most densely populated country in the world. We are statistically, we are living over this island around 550,000. That is the official number. I believe it is much more than that. And during summer, obviously, which is the peak of the tourism season, we will be around 8, if not 900,000. So it is very, very highly densely populated country. Malta, as you said, has its own unique culture when we do business, and the fact that we are small, we know each other very well. We know each other very well. We are almost, I always say that somehow we are all related. So we know each other quite well. We have very good relationship with each other. We support each other from even from one industry to another. So the way we do business is extremely different from the way other countries do business. Because the fact that we know each other, we don't need a lot of documents to know the person or to know the company before granting them credit or before we analyze the creditworthiness of our prospective customers, because we know them already. They are on the market, they are there, we are on the market as well. So somehow we would know what the other guy is doing. Nevertheless, when I started up M MCIM, and that was I'm talking about 2001, so it's 23 years now. I'm coming from a financial background, and when I started M MCIM, the Malta Association of Credit Management in Malta, the first exercise that I did together with some business people here in Malta was analyzing how the market grants credit. And logically, I requested credit application forms so that I would learn what the business community are doing. I remember as if it was yesterday, the only 3 application forms that I received came from the 3 big companies. So nobody, not one company used to ask for a credit application form before granting credit. Of course, these 3 credit application forms that I got from these three companies, from these three big companies, was not a credit application form at all. It was customer information sheet.
Especially if you compare that with the bank.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking. I'm not talking about the banks. I came from my first job. In fact, yesterday it was my work anniversary. My work anniversary because my first job was in a bank. I'm not talking about a bank here. I'm talking about trade credit. In fact, the first thing I did when I started up M MCIM was designing a proper credit application form for business to business and business to consumers business. And luckily enough, due to various education programs, I must say, today it is the norm that businesses, every business, whether you know him or not, they are asking to complete a credit application form. You cannot change culture overnight, Andre, but if you educate, because I truly believe in education, through education, you can change culture eventually. And that's what I did throughout these past 23 years, from having not even one piece of paper before granting credit to a customer into a culture where suppliers today, before selling you on credit, they would ask you to complete a credit application form, to sign it. They do a proper analysis about your company or about the individual that they will be selling. They go into the M MCIM system because we provide data for them to analyze the creditworthiness of their prospective customers. So they do that. They do a proper KYC, as we say. And I am very pleased to note the change in the culture of the Maltese business community.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, I really great because I greatly appreciate that because you know, next week or sorry, week after next we will have Switzerland, and there are other, you know, we may discuss, you know, this, but you know, in terms of credit management, that's clear. But when we speak about cultural differences, are there special tips and trips or do's and don'ts when you deal with Maltese people? Obviously, if, for instance, if I come to Malta, I know two persons on Malta because, you know, a good colleague of mine is now working on Malta and I do know you. I'm not sure this is enough, but at least I know who to call.
Well, probably it is enough because we introduce you with everyone.
Yeah, that's what I'm speaking. But imagine, you know, some people of our audience, in our audience, would have a customer in Malta. Is the other okay? With do's is pretty simple because we know that one mistake can kill relations over, you know, in a second. What are the particular do nots when you deal with the Maltese people?
Yeah.
I mean, in any direction, not only credit management, like in general.
Yeah, generally speaking, the Maltese are very friendly. They are very warm people. The best thing that you should do to do business here in Malta is to come over to Malta, meet people, meet them unofficially over lunch or dinner or over a drink, and discuss the business opportunities. The Maltese people are very hard workers, very hardworking crowd, and they like to interact. They like to build relationships, especially in business. So that's what you should do. If you want to do business in Malta, come over to Malta, meet with the Maltese people, meet with your prospective partners, business partners, and I'm sure that they will do anything under the sun to make you and to make you happy and sustain that business relationship for years. What you shouldn't do is don't try to forge or don't try to make them feel that they are being threatened, because the Maltese people are very, very suspicious. And if they suspect that you are not with them 100%, then you will probably have you lose trust, let's put it that way. So we make business, we do business out of trust. In Maltese we say irġulija, that's gentleman's trust, gentleman's relationship. We base our business relationship on trust. Unfortunately, well, fortunately or not fortunately, a number of people today are coming over to Malta. In fact, the problem currently across all the Maltese population is that the population is increasing every single year, because we are receiving an influx of foreign people from Asia especially. In fact, 20% of the Maltese population are now not Maltese. And we are extremely careful when we are selling to these people on credit, because we know that these people are not here to stay. These people are here to earn some money and they go away. And the problem that we are facing, the Maltese business community is facing at the moment, is that we are lending them money because we trust them. We love them because the Maltese, in general, the Maltese people are very welcoming, and we are trusting them, and they literally go away leaving hundreds, if not thousands of euro overdue and unpaid, which is very, very, very unfair.
Well, so that breach of trust exists, I understand, but do I understand correctly that due to the culture, due to the historical development, you in Malta used to know business partners, customers, suppliers, business partners in general, used to know everyone in person. And due to that historical, very close society, you are always oriented on longer term business relationship.
Yes,
it's
correct.
Not like one transaction and the city, you always consider longer term perspective.
Correct, 100%.
Obviously, my understanding is that you get extremely sad when people breach that trust. It is always sad. And by the way, about the hospitality, ladies and gentlemen, if you know the history of Malta, the term hospitality has been created thanks to Malta, because this is how you pronounce that in English or in Maltese, hospitalier?
Hospitalier.
Hospitalier, because this is the Catholic order which was based on Malta.
Yes, correct.
So
my father
is a term coming from Malta.
Yeah, in fact, my father is a knight. We have a number of we call them Ordni ta' San Juan. We call them St. John's Knights of St. John, and my father is one of them. He's a very proud knight of St. John. They do a lot of voluntary work. They help vulnerable people, not only in Malta but everywhere in Europe and in the world, and he is very proud of that. He is 79.
I was about to ask you if you have any knighthood either in UK or Malta, but your father is knight, so at least you are part of the knight's family.
Yeah, he is 79. God bless him, and he is still going very strong.
Well, as every knight.
God bless him.
Yeah, and and the Malta as well. We will tend that, but we already have a quick question. In terms of law, is Malta a common law jurisdiction, or you got continental law, codified one?
Malta is part of the EU,
Mm-hmm.
and we are also part of the Eurozone. So we have to transpose each and every legislation that comes out from the European Commission as any other country. So yes, we are heavily legislation in Malta is all there before before being members of the European Union. We have been under the British colony for 200 years. And those people who know how the British colony works, they will immediately understand that Malta has a very strong legislative framework.
I understand, but the thing is, in terms of, wider, in terms of legal system, are you still in that English common law, or you got codified legislation like continental Europe?
No. Well, it's
you are transferring due to EU membership, because that's a dramatic change.
It's a mixture of both. We still have laws coming from the past when we were under the Brits, but obviously a number of laws had to change in order to comply with EU regulation now.
Okay.
In fact, as we speak, just yesterday, there was a vote taken at IMCO, which is a committee at the European Union. They voted for amendments, and I think this is something which our viewers would be interested in. The European Union came up with a suggested regulation, the late payment regulation, to amend the current late payment directive. It was as it was suggested in the beginning, they literally abolished the freedom of contract, which I personally was very sad about it. And Malta was one of those countries, together with some other countries, that they voted against. They will vote against when it comes to the voting in the Commission. But yesterday, a vote was passed in this committee, the IMCO committee, with some amendments. The freedom of contract is still not 100% free. However, they give a bit of flexibility because now the 30 days terms, although they are still there, suppliers can extend those to 60 days, and in some seasonal products and seasonal industries, the credit terms can go up to 120 days. So that is some breath of fresh air. However, there are a number of other issues suggested in this late payment regulation. By the way, it is a regulation and not a directive, so every country should adopt it there and then as it is when it will pass.
So it's already regulation.
It is a regulation, not a directive. It will be a regulation, not a directive. And we came up with 13 suggestions as MACM. Everyone can go to our website, www.macm.org.mt, and there is our position paper. We are in favor of some clauses, but obviously against some other clauses. I personally also as you know, posted these 13 clauses on LinkedIn and on other social media so that everyone would know what will be the repercussions if the European Union had to legislate this regulation. So some common sense prevailed, I must say, and although the freedom of contract is not 100% free with this legislation, but there is some breathing space, some flexibility.
Here I am back. And okay, as we touch this point, I understand. So let's discover a little bit on that, because that touches not only. First of all, this is about Malta because this is your active role. But last thing I remember about that, because I went through that position paper, but I would like you to share with everyone what's going on, since we're about credit management. So there was, I do remember, there is the EU directive which restricts payment term to 60 days. However, in the practice I have in credit management, these 60 days is something in terms of law sitting in the air, because 60 days presumes that, okay, every contract might be, either warranty or either warranty or contract term. They could not make contract void, but that this will be like the warranty which supposed not to exist, but at the same time there is no real control procedure for that.
Yes.
So meaning that if somebody is late 30 days or another 60 days, there is no breach. So this means that customers of weaker suppliers or suppliers with the lower negotiation power might still simply pay late and nothing going to happen to them, with except for ban of supply. So, and this at the same time, if I understand correctly, if the regulation or stronger regulation will be put, this restricts the freedom of contract. So meaning that if, for instance, there is a common sense behind longer credit term due to there could be many reasons. I can give an example, like, I don't know, if somebody might have goods already in stock in the country, and in this case 60 days credit term is rarely necessary, and obviously depending on the stock and everything. And at the same time, there might be other company who is delivering goods to the local place elsewhere, overseas, and this might require longer credit term or extremely longer credit term, or there are some goods which are required to stay in the stock of a customer for the longer time.
Henry, let me tell you this.
So, but no, well, what I'm trying to say, and then this means that with this new regulation, two companies cannot agree on reasonable credit term because there is a legislation. Is that what you mean?
Yes. In fact, I always point out to these legislators, even when I'm talking to MEPs, it is good and it is beneficial to the business community in Europe, especially SMEs, to recognize that late payments destroy literally businesses. We agree with that. Nobody is saying that late payments are good. Late payments destroy the profitability and late payments destroy businesses. However, they have to make a distinction, a very clear distinction, which is very basic, between agreed credit terms and late payments. I can agree with Andrei 150 days credit terms, That is our agreement, according to the product, according to the product life cycle, to the business life cycle, according to our relationship. So if you pay within 150 days, that is okay. There is no late payment issue in that. But if you pay 1 day later, 1 day late, so if you pay on the 151st day, oops, that's late payment. And you cannot combat late payments by reducing the credit terms, because they are two different things. They are two different matters. I always say, we are in a free market economy. We are doing business in a free market economy. So let the parties decide the credit terms, decide the terms and conditions of sale themselves. They know each other. They did their job, they did their homework, they did their KYC, analyze the creditworthiness of each other. They know each other. They have probably a long-term relationship. Leave them agree what any credit terms they may find as appropriate. It's not your business, Mr. Legislator. However, if they agreed on 180 credit terms, which is fine, because it is an agreement between the two parties, the seller and the buyer, we have to, as a legislator, the legislator have to tackle if the client pays their suppliers late. So after those 180 days, credit terms as agreed. So they are not making this distinction, this difference between credit terms, agreed credit terms between the two parties, and late payments. And that is the issue with this regulation. You cannot combat late payments by reducing credit terms. Credit terms and late payment are two different scenarios. So, and unfortunately, and I'm being blunt, I don't know how not to be blunt. I'm not a politician. Okay, I'm a credit management professional. Sorry, they don't know the market. They don't know how the market works. And that is the big problem. And that is why we are there, the associations, the credit management associations, because we are representing the creditors. We are representing especially the trade creditors, the SMEs, because the majority of businesses in Europe are SMEs, and this regulation came out in order to support SMEs. And unfortunately, if this legislation had to go through as it was originally planned or suggested, SMEs would be the most type of businesses that would have suffered.
I do agree with you, but let me add a couple of angles of this perspective, because I really follow and I really support, the things you do, and then how many things Philip King does, about that late payment, and especially trying to protect SME. But the more I look at that, the more I come to conclusion, because being both in trade credit and working with companies, we do understand that a lot is dependent on what is done by creditor himself. So if you cannot simply sign the contract and then expect timely payments. That's not enough. That's one thing.
Correct.
Because and when we speak to these SMEs, and example you just shared today, like application forms and everything, but when you speak to people about credit management, especially in SMEs, because I'm currently working with SMEs myself, When they come with collection issues, I said, what did you do before? And sometimes they are hardly able to prove that they have contract with their customer.
Yeah, I cannot agree more with you. In fact,
I just want this is one extreme. So the thing is, credit management is the thing which to be done in SME, because every business, we like it or not, has a credit function. Some people don't believe that. I mean, simply, it's a great example by Glenn Bullivant. Every employee is a creditor of the company. But do we all take that role of a creditor seriously enough? That's one side of the story. Another side of the story, I still remember 2008 and how that directive of EU came into place, because during the financial crisis of 2008, retail chains started to abuse their bargain capacity. And they started to request enormous credit terms. I understand now much more deeper the retail business than I used to do that time. But with all due respect, 180, 200 days. I can give you an example which I'm sharing now with my colleagues. And this was the great example of the payment terms negotiation. Done by sales, by the way. They were negotiating payment term with the retail chain, and the retail chain was insisting on, I think, 120 days. They did a calculation of operating cycle, and they found that, okay, it's 35 days. 35 days. So let's agree on 40. Let's agree on 45. No, retail chains are no 120. You know what was the solution? They said, okay, what if we offer you open terms? Which means that you pay us when you got paid from your customer. They said, okay, open terms, we agree. Signed. In 3 months, they had a look at that and they found that they pay in 32 days.
Yeah, but
this abuse of bargain capacity could not be done. Like if they say, okay, 120 days and this is it, then what to do? What SME should do when your bargain capacity is extremely lower than your customers want?
I think that it's something different. I agree with you that the way SMEs grant credit should be improved, definitely. That is why education is extremely important, and I strongly believe, I already said this, I strongly believe in education, especially in credit management education, because it is still way back. If you compare credit management education with any other business education like HR, IT, and what have you. So what I would suggest is that SMEs, not only SMEs, the business community in general, but especially SMEs, because they are more vulnerable, they should invest in education. They should invest in the function, in the credit function itself, not only in education, but in the credit function itself. Because many a times I visit these SMEs, and by definition, SME is a company employing less than 250. So if a company is employing 240, is not a very small company either. But let's say I visited a number of SMEs, not only in Malta, but everywhere in the world, as you know. And I discuss certain issues, certain credit management issues with the board of directors or with the CEO. And very often they say, when I ask, what is credit management? What do they do? What they should be doing? And they say, well, collecting dues, collecting money. No, for heaven's sake. Credit management is not collecting money. Credit management, as you appropriately said, is from the first day of your business transaction, there comes the credit manager. Analyze the creditworthiness. Do your homework properly. Is that prospective client profitable? Who are the customers of your prospective customers?
Yeah.
What are what industry is he serving in? How long has he been in that industry? What is his experience? These are all questions which the credit manager has to ask himself prior to granting credit. Once they grant credit to their customers, then they have to manage credit.
Yes.
How many times they categorize, they segment their customers according to the payment behavior. Because many times these businesses, they do segment their customers in terms of geography, in terms of products that they buy. Okay, fair enough. But we are talking about getting paid now. We're talking about collection of the money that you have granted in the first place. So, okay, if you want to segment your customers according to geography, fair enough. But do another categorization according to their payment behavior. Because if the customer needs you to pick up the phone and call him so that he will send you the check or he will do the bank transfer, if you don't categorize, you wouldn't know that that customer needs you to push him to send you the payment. And that is why it is important that you categorize your customer according to the payment behavior. So you would identify the needs of your customers better, and you would satisfy the needs of your customer when you are trying to get paid. And if you do this, you will get paid more promptly, and you will be managing your debtors account, your accounts receivable, which accounts for approximately 40 to 50% of your total balance sheet, which is not a joke. And we're talking about a liquid asset, okay? And what are we doing to manage those 50% of your assets, your 40% of your assets? We insure our building, we insure, fair enough, that's good. But what are you doing to manage your accounts receivable properly? Is your house in order? Are you doing good credit management practices, which makes sense? How often are you changing your practices according to the changes in the economy, for example? How often are you changing your modus operandi according to the products that you are selling, or to the products that you are nowadays the world is changing. Products change, customers' needs are changing, the market is changing. So you have to change your modus operandi. We used to manage our accounts receivables according to DSO. For heaven's sake, it is important to know your DSO, just for benchmarking.
Please, let's not discuss DSO. Ladies and gentlemen, we already agreed, and thanks to the article, because Joseph wrote an article together with Professor Tunison, and I wrote my article, been inspired with that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's conclude that speech. Joseph, thank you very much for promoting credit management. I know it, but I just want to, if you allow me to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, credit management is not DSO improvement. That's God's for the God's sake. Please
Andrew, can I say something before we leave?
Yeah, no, we are not leaving. I still got list.
Okay, all right. So sorry to jump in. Yeah. I always ask one simple question. what is the reason? What is the rationale for a supplier to grant credit? What is the reason to grant credit to your customer?
I can tell you, but I am not the audience to ask.
Okay, I will reply to my question. The only reason why I go through all this pain of granting and managing credit is to sell more.
Absolutely. It's
Simple.
self-support.
It's simple. It is a
Absolutely.
base function. And therefore, we are there, the people who are working in the field of credit management, we are here to assist the sales team in order to sell more at a higher profit. And that is the crux of it all. We are not here to sell on credit just for the sake of selling. The turnover doesn't mean anything. It is the profit which the business should keep in mind. And we, as the credit manager, the credit function, we are there to assist the business to make more profit, to make decent, let's put it this way, to make decent profits. And that is why sometimes we need to mitigate the risk in order to make sure that the profit, the targets that has been identified will be reached. Sorry, as you know, I'm very passionate about credit management.
I know that's why, I always.
I apologize because I'm very passionate about credit.
Joseph, I really like to speak with you because we are sharing the same position. Obviously, credit management exists to assist companies competitiveness.
Correct.
To provide company with more profit. But again, I always say that cash is king. No doubt about that. But this king derives not from finance. This king derives from sales, because these are customers who pays our business money, who pays us money. These are our customers, not us, not banks, not even business owners who are investing money. Business exists just because customers pay for this for its product. Nothing else. But
that's why I told you that accounts receivables consists of, well, if you had to analyze a balance sheet of a company, whatever company it trades, around 40 to 50% of the total assets are accounts receivables. And that's why I told you that we should protect that chunk of asset which is liquid. It can turn into cash easily if you adopt good credit management practices. As you said, Andre, cash is king, and we have to protect our cash flow, because if we don't protect our cash flow, I know a company, I know a number of companies which went bust, unfortunately, because they were highly rich in assets which were not liquid. They couldn't turn their assets into cash, and they couldn't satisfy their suppliers. They couldn't pay for their wages. They couldn't pay for electricity bills. And they had to close doors. And they were making a lot of profit. So on paper, they were rich, but they suffered cash flow. And since they had cash flow problems, they had no alternative but to close the doors. And
it's everything. It's about length of the credit terms, and this is length and then the risk they take. And I can also mention, a couple of times I've seen high caliber credit professionals who were asked, like, how do you establish payment terms? They say, we just follow customer request. That was something unclear to me, but I mean, let's conclude that credit management has a lot ahead to develop. We still need better practices, and I mean, there are lots of businesses who yet to come and to establish proper credit management. That's one story. But even in the cases where we have credit management, so often we fall down in that controllership attitude where even knowing that accounts receivable exist to support companies' competitiveness, we still do controllership, like, when sales team is try to move company forward, credit team is pulling company back, and we got that famous sales credit conflict, which suppose not exist. But let's come back to Malta.
Okay.
In terms of economic development, are there some usual understanding of business on what are the recent challenges? I mean, except for European regulation for the payment terms and for the late payments, what are the particular developments which you would like to share with everyone about the development in Malta?
Yes, first of all, the 5 pillars of the Maltese economy are financial services, tourism, real estate, iGaming, and the manufacturing of electronics. So those are the 5 economic pillars. I must say that Malta has a very resilient economy. You mentioned 2008. Malta has managed that economic downfall very well. With the pandemic, and Malta was managed the pandemic economically very well too. Of course, we depend, although we are an island, no man is an island, we say, and we don't live in a vacuum. So we are being affected by the global economy, by the global inflation, for example, and recessions. Of course, we do. But the fact that we are a small island economy, we adapt ourselves quicker and much easier than any other economy. For example, if I had to tell you, I have some figures here with me. For example, in 2022, the GDP growth was 6.9%. In 2023, it was 4%, and it will remain 4% in 2024, which is relatively high GDP growth in the European Union. The energy prices, for example, remained unchanged and will remain unchanged until 2025. And that will give the economy stability. Why? Because the government is giving incentives, has done measures so that the energy prices will remain unchanged. The inflation, for example, in 2023, last year, was 5%. This year, it's 3.5%.
Impressive.
It is impressive, yes. If you compare our economic figures with other figures in the European Union, yes, they are impressive. The private consumption growth, for example, it's 5.2%, Andri, which is not a joke. Our unemployment rate, despite that we are having an influx of people coming over to work here in Malta from Asia, especially, the unemployment rate is 2.7%. It is impressive, yes. However,
it is unseen.
Yeah, however, Andri, we do have our flaws as well, like any other country. For example, the construction industry here in Malta is taking over all the island. It's becoming a one whole construction site, unfortunately. I know Malta, I'm 55 now. I remember Malta when it was literally our main income was coming from agriculture and fisheries. Not anymore today. Not anymore because
The tourist destination now.
we don't even have fields now. And the sea is being contaminated with fish farms. Is that an improvement in the economy? Pounds, shillings, and pence, as the English say, yes. But for the human being, I don't think so. So we do have flaws, but economically, we have always been on the forefront as a country of the European Union. I remember once, I was in, if I remember correctly, I was in Prague. We had a conference in Prague, and there was an economist delivering a presentation in Prague during this conference, and he said, and this was around 2010, I must say, 2011, and he said, the best economy in the European Union is Germany. However, the second best is Malta. So the largest country and the smallest country. And he said, I cannot explain this. And obviously my colleagues coming from FCICM, we were all there. It was a FCICM conference, in fact. They came up to me and said, you can explain why. The only reason is because it is a small market economy, and we can adapt much quicker, and we can adapt more than any other bigger country. So being small is it has its own hardships, but it is beneficial in some ways as well. You are muted, Andre. You are muted. I cannot hear you.
Yeah, in terms of economy, that's great, but you know, that's what we have. So currently, I understand that this construction is going on and developing that widely because you got so many developments, so many people are coming to visit in Malta, and you are becoming more touristic economy. Well, let me repeat another English saying, you can either have it or eat it, you know.
Correct.
If you are becoming more open, you earn more money, but there is price for that in terms of.
There is a price for that, especially in the real estate, Andre. The percentage of the percentage growth, the percentage increase in the prices of houses and it's spiking year on year. So unfortunately, many people, many young people in Malta, they are finding it very difficult to own their own property. And in Malta, we probably.
What's the price for the square meter?
Around,
like on average.
I'm not an expert in real estate, but I can tell you this. I bought an apartment in Gozo, and that was in 2004. I bought this apartment. It's 150 meters squared. And I bought it for around 90,000 euro. If I had to sell it today, after 20 years, I would sell it off at around 300,000.
Okay.
So the price, and I'm talking about an apartment in Gozo, not in Malta, because in Malta it's even, there is more demand, and obviously the prices are much higher than the prices in Gozo. But I just gave you an example.
Comparing that to Switzerland, you know, you are still lucky enough.
Yeah, I know, I know, I know.
You're still lucky enough because
I know.
if you compare that, so I mean, I won't be mentioning Switzerland will be next time.
I know. You know, I love Switzerland. I've been to Switzerland for a number of times. I love it. I love the country, but it's expensive.
Like, as expensive as
Yeah, Malta, it is becoming expensive, but nothing around,
still, you
nothing
still
like,
got way to go
nothing
in
like Switzerland.
comparison with Switzerland, in comparison with Monaco, you know, and many things,
Yeah.
many places like that. And we've touched the legal system of Malta. And I made a conclusion because that was a question, quite interesting, quite nice question. But what I'm trying to say, thanks for being, thanks for being part of British system. You got very, very strong, and as I presume, if we
Strong and rigid. Strong and rigid.
yeah,
Very strong
but
and
you see,
rigid judicial
what,
system.
yeah, absolutely, I understand that. But at the same time, you see, my understanding, and since you are EU and since your system is coming from the UK, this is supposed to be quite independent court system, which is already a huge benefit for the economy. For instance, independence of the law system, which means that if, for instance, there is an exporter to Malta, they got the same protection as local people, because the law system is independent. And, you know, if you look at many other countries around the globe, my home Ukraine as well, trust me, this is huge. I mean, enormous benefit if you compare that with everyone. But what I was still unclear about is that you used to have kind of common law, three-pillar English system during the UK time, let's call it like this, and now you are part of EU, and you are moving towards the codified law, codified continental law. And if I understand correctly, this means that you are undergoing really the dramatic process of change of the law system on Malta. It's just like, imaginatory for those who are hearing us now. It's just like if Scotland will start using common law in the United Kingdom. This is a dramatic change. Is that what is going on in Malta now?
No, we have been part of the EU for a number of years now. So the changes has been done already. We are now.
So it is already done.
Yeah, it has been done already. It is there. It is working. We have no issues with our judicial system. Absolutely. If we were talking about credit management, if a supplier had to take his client to court because he didn't pay, you can easily issue a judicial letter, for example, together with a court warrant, and in 30 days' time, you will get paid. So it's
meaning that all the procedure from, let's say, from the claim, because normally claim takes 30 days. So normally you send an official claim to your customer, and then in 30 days you're supposed to go to the court. Is that
no? It is at your discretion whether to go to court or not.
No, you decided. Okay,
but
imagine I am your debtor. Yeah,
correct.
I don't pay you. You send me the last letter, which is normally the claim. Usually, in most part of jurisdictions, this takes 30 days. Like it takes a 30 days waiting period before you can apply to the court for the judgment. Is that the same rule in Malta as well?
We have a system. We call it the judicial letter system. It's part of our legal system. Here in Malta, we call it 166A because the clause is 166A of the legislation.
Yeah.
You file a judicial letter at the law courts. The court martial literally comes knocking on your door. He says that you have a judicial letter filed at the law courts and you have 30 days to contest that judicial letter. More than 80% will not contest. So you will have a judgment. You will have
automatic judgment. If you don't contest, you got automatic judgment.
You have an automatic judgment after 30 days. You can then, as a supplier, issue court warrant and warrant of seizure, blah blah blah, to get your money back. If the customer will not agree with anything written on that judicial letter, they will contest you and you will take him to court. And your case will be heard at the law courts by a judge, and the judge will give you the judgment or will give you whether you have to pay or not. But it will not take a long time in this case. It depends on the workload of the court, but it will not take a long time.
It's not years, it's weeks.
It's quite simple and normal. We're not talking about something which is criminal here, because the criminal courts, they do take time, sometimes a long time. But in civil code, in civil cases and commercial cases, usually they don't take a lot of time. So I must say it is quite efficient. Our law court system is quite efficient.
Which is great. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you do business in Malta or you plan to do, please rely on the independent. I mean, very good, very good. Thank you very much for that, for mentioning that, because, in terms of debt collection, Maltese system is pretty effective, and we got a person who can witness that.
Last week, I heard you say about Malta being a tax haven. Sorry, it is not.
No.
We are part of the European Union. The tax that companies registered in Malta have to pay is 35%. However,
it's a profit tax.
Yes, tax on profit, it's 35%. However, if you are a foreign company investing in some specific industries, such as financial services, iGaming, and technology, that tax on profit can go down to not less than 5%. But it's not a tax haven. Malta has never been a tax haven. It is a normal European country, but there are some incentives for foreign investments here in Malta. Just to clarify.
Because I was doing that exercise for a couple of my clients, there is actually this usually this takes two parts. First of all, it's corporate tax, which could be 35 or 5%, and then what is the dividend tax?
Yeah, the dividend is 35%.
Sorry?
35%. It starts with 35%.
If I got a business which makes, let's say, 100 profit, then I have to pay 35% profit from as a corporate tax, and then if I want to repatriate, I have to pay another 35%.
Correct.
So altogether, this will be. I mean, yes, this won't be 70%, but it's very far from being exactly. This is very far from being tax haven.
Correct. Something else which I would like to say is, in fact, this morning, 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago now, I was attending to a website launch of the Malta Business Registry. I was invited by the Malta Business Registry for the launch of their website. They have literally scrapped the old system. They developed a new online system. Everyone can register a company now online. very effective and very efficient. In 24 hours, you can start a company here in Malta nowadays with all the due diligence incorporated in the procedure. Everything is being done online, and the minimum capital is €1,500, not €2 like Ireland.
And you still, no, not €2. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's really great.
But it is very easy now to open a company here in Malta.
Okay. But when we come down to the local market, if we come back, what are the payment terms? What are the usual payment terms for the local market?
Well, it depends on the industry. It depends on the industry.
Obviously, that's what I wanted to say. Like, if you can make us a very quick overview, because we still need maybe we still got one question, and we might have some questions from the audience. So please.
Yeah. So it depends heavily on the industry. There are some industries that they pay in 15 days. For example, the insurance industry. There are some others that really pay late. However, at MACM, I do an exercise with our members, and our members are coming from all over the Maltese economy. And the day sales outstanding of Malta as a whole is 80 days approximately on average. But as I told you, there are industries, for example, the FMCG, the fast moving consumer.
Sorry for me to understand. So you say 80 days. So this means that if we take, let's say, the consolidated balance sheet of all Maltese businesses, and if we take receivables by sales, so if we calculate that let's say total Maltese DSO, this will be 80 days.
Correct.
Okay.
But there are some industries who pay in shorter term, and there are some industries that pay in much longer than 80 days. But on average, they pay after 80 days approximately.
Okay. So you covered both. So I mean, this is we are not touching, because we very often contractual payment terms are not that much seen, but you do that research, and you see that it is 80 days altogether total receivables. Again, DSO might be good, might be bad, but we continue to use that language. And when we look at external,
to benchmark, Andrei, it's good.
We still may discuss, the benchmarking. That's the discussion, by the way, I had once with a couple of financiers who got audit background. They say competitive benchmarkers say, look, if all of your competitors will go bust, you're supposed to go bust as well together with them, or you want to survive. That's the thing. So competitive benchmark is not something to do for your, to understand you are good or bad. It's just like to see the practice. And furthermore, you see, it's quite interesting, because when you touch credit function, because now we've covered Malta. Thank you very much for that. And now we still got a bit of time, and I don't see any questions from our audience. So let me double check that. But what I was trying to say is my discoveries in credit management led me to the conclusion that actually every credit function, to be effective and to really support companies' growth and to really provide company with the cash, every credit function is to be unique. Like a suit, you cannot, you might like my suit, but you cannot use it because you got your own form, you got your own individuality. The same story between the credit function and the company. And I've heard many times, because coming back to the moment we had already in today's discussion, once I've heard from one of the head of credit and European countries said, why should I have a credit function like Shell has? I got my own company with my own business. Shell is an oil business. I am in FMCG. These are two different businesses. And furthermore, I had several examples that even companies on the same market, two companies on the same market with this, product which are with a competitive product. Products which are competing with each other. Even they too cannot afford similar credit policy because one is market leader, another one is challenger. These are two different stories.
Yep.
And interestingly, you cannot do that. I see what companies do with that. And that's like coming back to the promotion of credit management to echo you a little bit. You cannot build that to shape that effective credit function without credit pro. Because with all due respect, somebody who has an accounting qualification or even being a financier does not mean that this person is qualified in terms of credit management. Because thanks to Her Majesty, thanks to Her Majesty Elizabeth II, who recognized credit management as a separate profession. So let's ask, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think I agree 100% with you. It doesn't mean that if you are a qualified accountant, you are good in credit management. First of all, credit management is a people's function and not sitting behind the desk crunching numbers as the financial people do. One thing which I always suggest is we are living in 2024. The market is changing. The world is changing. Why is the credit function not changing? Why are we still finding people working in the field of credit management all day long behind their desk trying to chase money? That is not credit management. Credit management is meeting people, going out with the sales, with your sales team, meeting your customers, invest in your customers together with your sales team, go and meet up. If need be, go and have a coffee with your customer, go and see for yourself, literally, physically, your customer's premises. You will get a lot of data and information if you go at your customers' offices and at your customers' factories and workplaces. This is 2024. Credit management has to be done totally different. This is a total different market from the market that we had in 2000 or in the 1950s. This is the modern economy. We have to adapt to that economy. We need, credit professionals need to make use of technology more, AI, artificial intelligence. We need to make use of teleconferencing and technology as we are doing today. Meet your people instead of calling them. Meet them on Teams or on any other devices or whatever. I'm not a technical person, but I'm using these modern technology a lot today. You can literally feel them. Although you are not with them, you can feel them. You can get from them what they feel. Sometimes you get a reply without them opening their mouth, by gestures, by raising their eyebrows, for example. These are all techniques that the credit manager has to find, has to look for. And in 2024, with all of these technological devices, we can make use of them and to our own benefit. Here in Malta, we are blessed because in 30 minutes, I can be anywhere on the island. So I can drive my car 30 minutes away and I'll be at the office of my client discussing an issue. But I can understand that in some other countries, this is practically impossible. But in that case, use technology. Don't use the telephone anymore. You can get the reactions of your customers when you use this technology. Use AI as well in order to analyze the creditworthiness of your prospective and existing customers. Improve yourself. Don't stay doing as we used to. The workplace has changed. How can I say? 20 years ago, a company had some practices. Today they are obsolete. If you are still doing what you have been doing for the past 20 years, probably you don't have a competitive edge. And probably your customers will prefer to pay your competitors rather than you. So these are all tricks of the trade, which the people working in the field of credit management should identify and should adopt for their modus operandi in today's world, because we're living in 2022, not in 1924.
So thanks to the technology, by the way, we are following exactly what you just said, because we've got this series of credit in exactly in the same way, because otherwise, if I try to visit all the countries, Ireland, Malta, and everything, this will be expensive project. But thanks to that technology, we can discover credit management practice around the globe. Yeah. Together with as smart people as Joseph. Joseph, one last question. When it comes to the organizational behavior, you see, we see a lot, because we don't have other questions, so I have to entertain yourself. Myself, ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions, please do so. You see, I got a mixed feeling about the technology. My favorite management researcher, Jim Collins, once came to conclusion that, okay, technology give us huge advantages. I mean, let's take example of, because I'm writing, and English is the third language for me. And I do know that when I write a text, I need to spend, let's say, twice more time to double check it myself before I release it, because otherwise people will be laughing at me. Although they might have a respect to me, that they know that English is third language for people like me. Now I correct that. I don't hide that. I correct my grammar in seconds. AI does that quite quickly. But the thing is, at the same time, Jim Collins said, the technology is an accelerator. Technology could not make us happy, because you see, technology can make, let's get closer to the point of credit management. Technology can make the process of granting, administering, and collecting credit significantly faster.
Right.
But technology itself, as far as I know, please correct me if I'm wrong, is not the one who is already able to make a perfect credit management process.
No.
Because my personal understanding, the way I define, let's say, strategic credit management, it's a constant process, it's an endless process of improvement and adaptation of credit portfolio to the needs of business. Needs of business are changing every day. Therefore, we need to change our portfolio, which means credit processes, credit policy, and other things. So what I'm trying to say, we've already found that altogether as businesses, SMEs, big companies, and others, we still got way to go. And I do remember our discussion between you, me, and Ludo, where we discussing the greatness of credit management. We still yet to build that methodology of effective trade credit management, if we want. But I got a feeling that this future credit management supposed to use technology, but we still have a big deal of developments in terms of organization, of credit organization, and credit, the building of credit management, building of credit function. What do you think about that?
In a nutshell, in one simple sentence,
Yeah,
the credit function is a people's function. Technology can never replace human resources, can never replace people.
yeah,
So deploy technology as much as you want for the processes, as you said, for the day-to-day processes. That's fine, that's good. But when it comes to people, when it comes to relationships, technology cannot replace the human element. We can use the vehicle of how we communicate. There is no need of you coming over from Switzerland or Ukraine to Malta because you have this technology, the vehicle. But we are here, both of us. The human element is there.
yes.
Okay? I can feel you. I can see your gestures. I can feel your looking at you. I can see what you have in mind.
Yeah.
So the human element is there. Using technology as a vehicle, yes. But technology can never replace HR. In credit management. I'm talking about credit management.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree with you.
Because the credit function is a people's function. It has always been, and it will always be like that.
Yeah.
How can I trust you if I never met you? If I cannot trust you if I have never met you.
Recently watching the movie about I don't remember the name, Hidden Persons. And when the Scott Glenn was sitting in the rocket, and they were speaking with that chief commander, he said great phrase: "You cannot trust somebody, like he meant analyst, whom you cannot look into eyes."
Correct.
There is no trust. And credit, ladies and gentlemen, we like it or not, derives from the Latin word del credere, which literally means trust. If there is no trust, there is no credit. And since credit exists in every commercial transaction, if there is no credit, there is no trust, there is no business. Joseph, I do thank you very, very much for this great discussion. It's been as pleasure as always to speak with you.
It is always my pleasure, Andrei. I enjoyed it, and whenever I can be of any help or assistance, or you want to bounce any idea, you and your followers, I'm always available. As long as I'm still around, I will make myself available.
So please please stay around for as long as around, strong and healthy as you are, long enough, because I got big plans on you.
Very good. Andrei, if I may.
Please, you must.
If I may, as you know, or you may know, we are organizing the World Credit Congress in Orlando in October of this year. And I encourage you and your followers wholeheartedly to come over and meet up with the credit management gurus from all over the world. We learn from each other. Communication is key. As we have concluded, the credit function is a people's function, and meeting with our peers from all over the world makes us a better credit professionals. So I took some of your time to promote the World Credit Congress in Orlando.
I was about to say that because recently I had a chat with Louis. We were speaking about that as well. So Louis, I expect, we had a chat. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the best, if not the best, credit management conference on the globe. It's really World Credit Congress. I had an honor to be on it. I have an honor to present on it. So please, if I can recommend one single conference in terms of credit management, yes, this will be World Credit Congress.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The World Credit Congress is the committee who runs the World Credit Congress is formed by 4 people, Louis, Declan, Eugene, and myself. And this year, Claire Sandbrook, who lives in the US, is taking care of the organization of this conference, and she is doing a very good job. I'm expecting one of the best World Credit Congresses ever.
Since you mentioned, and since you already, hitting up my curiosity, I've seen an impressive number of people in Jayburg and in Romania. How many people you expect in Orlando?
Well, from my past experience, I would say there will be around 400 people from all over the world.
Which is impressive. So, ladies and gentlemen, 400 people, 400 credit pros from all over the world. That's really a great gathering in terms of credit management. Thank you very much for joining us.
I should thank you, Andrei, not the other way around. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Couple of last announcements and couple of announcement of coming events. So first of all, next week we will have a master class about the credit control. I will try to enlarge a little bit of understanding of what is credit control, because we used to think that a significant part of people in business believe that the credit control is to ship or not to ship, release or not release. It's all about sales orders, trust me. And if we compare credit control and credit structuring is a complicated thing, but credit control, when I compare myself, credit control and credit structuring and finding optimal terms, I don't know which one is more complicated. So if you really want to know about how complicated, how proactive credit control could be, because it must be proactive. So the masterclass on proactive credit control, for this time will be public, so please don't forget to join us next week. On the April 4th, I never thought we will have such a big program, but on April 4th, we will have even more outstanding event, because if you know a little bit about credit risk, you're supposed to know somebody called Edward Altman, and you're supposed to know Altman Z-score. That was my Christmas gift, because Edward Altman replied to my email. Thanks to him very much. He replied to my email just after Christmas, so I found his email literally under the Christmas tree. So Edward Altman and Gabriele Sabato will be in our credit science event on April 4th. It will be 5 p.m., not 2 p.m. But please find it on the credit engineering page. There is an invitation. Don't forget to join us. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to register for the event, because we will have a rare opportunity to see Edward Altman himself in literally, again, thanks to technology, we can call it in person. And our credit in will continue with Switzerland on April 18th or on April 11th. We will have Jean-Francois, who is a credit manager from Switzerland, and he has a unique knowledge because he is delivering office. His company is delivering office supplies, so he is dealing with literally every business in Switzerland. So he has really a hands-on experience. I mean, I live in Switzerland for 15 years, but I could not even compare myself about the knowledge of the country and knowledge of the credit management within the country. And somewhere it's already aligned. We will have Poland. Lots of companies are dealing with Poland. So these are so far scheduled events. Stay tuned with us, and don't forget to join us. If you have any questions, please put them in comments. Reach out to me, reach out to Joseph directly. And I really thank very, very much to everyone who joined us today. Look forward to seeing you soon as we can. I really wish everyone who is involved in credit management highest possible sales, lowest possible losses, or as we could say in French, bon crédit.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon. See you around.
Nice evening. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.